Hello everyone, I hope this video finds you well. I wanted to talk this week a little bit about the 3 weeks that we now find ourselves in, instead of Pirkei Avos, although obviously they are very much connected. But I think it behooves us to really delve in a little bit to the understanding of the 3 weeks, Tisha B'Av, which is the culmination of that time, and to try our best to understand what is really going on. So we start the period with the fast day that we had yesterday, the 17th of Tammuz, and that really starts the process of the 3 weeks. It's the beginning of this period of mourning that we have, and that was the day that the destruction began, when the Romans were able to begin their conquest of Jerusalem. Now, we today go through the motions that have been set for us by Chazal, by our sages. We don't listen to music, we don't have weddings, we don't take haircuts. These are all signs of mourning. As the 9 days approach then, the signs of mourning increase, they intensify, and then finally it all culminates, it comes together with Tisha B'Av. And Tisha B'Av is the most severe. Tisha B'Av is the time that we are in real, serious mourning. We sit on the floor, we don't eat or drink, we don't even wash ourselves, we're unkempt, and it's really a very intense time. And that was the day of the destruction of the Beis Hamikdash. Both of the holy temples were destroyed on that day. Now, for us today here, a couple thousand years later, in America, we're comfortable, we're happy, things are going well for us overall. And it's very hard for us to relate to what we've lost. And that's a very, very common problem. People over hundreds of years have been asking, how do we connect to Tisha B'Av? How do we connect to the 3 weeks? We're dealing with something that we don't understand. We're trying to mourn a loss that we don't feel. So how are we supposed to approach these 3 weeks and the expressions of mourning and culminating with Tisha B'Av? So I think that a statement that was made by Rabbi Chaim of Volozhin really sheds light on this, and it will help us understand what we're supposed to be doing. Rabbi Chaim says a very succinct statement, and he says, "It is forbidden to dwell on the destruction of the Beis Hamikdash. Rather, the mitzvah is to dwell on its building." That's all he says. And to me, this is very eye-opening and it's very inspiring. Because what he's saying is that we can't sit and dwell on the destruction of the Beis Hamikdash, perhaps because it's not going to accomplish because we don't understand it. If we understood what it was, if we understood the loss, then maybe dwelling on the destruction would be okay. I don't know. But what I do know is that today we are instructed to dwell on the rebuilding of the Beis Hamikdash. And that's something that we can do. What does that mean? What am I talking about? What that means is as follows. We go through all the motions of mourning that we have. We have, as we've said, the limitation of joy. Things are more solemn, more sincere, and it comes to a head with Tisha B'Av, where it's an intense expression of mourning. We sit on the floor, we eat the night before, we have a final simple meal of ashes and eggs. It's really an intense expression of mourning over a loss. And we go through all of these motions without understanding perhaps what we've lost. And the goal there, as Rav Chaim tells us, is to focus on the rebuilding. Meaning to say that these motions are meant to move us. We start with a fast day. What happens on a fast day? We're tired, we're hungry, we're thirsty, we're not thinking so clearly, we feel down, and we've taken away a lot of our physicality. And the purpose there is to refocus and say, okay, I'm not focusing on my food, I'm not focusing on my luxuries, and I'm not feeling my best. What am I supposed to be thinking about? And that should move us. That should get us started to move in the right direction of refocusing our mission in life. What are we here for? What are we really supposed to be doing? Are we supposed to be focusing on luxury? Are we supposed to be focusing on physical? Are we supposed to be focusing on our being self-serving and enjoying life? Well, to a small degree, perhaps, but that's not our main focus. Our main focus in life needs to be our spirituality. And specifically when it comes to these 3 weeks that started with the fast yesterday and will end with another in 3 weeks, that time is specifically to focus on rebuilding the Beis HaMikdash. What does that mean? To understand the rebuilding, we have to understand what the destruction came from. What was the source? Where did it come from that Hashem allowed this destruction to take place? And Chazal tell us in the Gemara that it came from sinas chinam. It came from hatred, animosity between Jews. The Chafetz Chaim extends that also was rooted in Lashon Hara, speaking negatively of others. This concept is the cause that we still don't have the Beis HaMikdash today. In order for us to rebuild the Beis HaMikdash, we need to fix that. That same problem that existed all those thousands of years ago is obviously still here today because we see that we don't have the Beis HaMikdash. The fact that it wasn't rebuilt tells us that we haven't fixed the problem. We haven't corrected our ways. And that is what we're mourning. Our signs of mourning are meant to move us to recognize that we have work to do. We need to focus on fixing those problems that created the destruction in the first place. The only way to rebuild the Beis HaMikdash is to correct the issues that destroyed it. So we need to take a good look at ourselves and say, am I happy with everybody? Am I friendly with all Jews? Do I have some hatred in my heart for others? Do I judge people perhaps in a way that they shouldn't be? Am I doing something that is negative to someone else? Am I feeling feelings that are negative towards others? If the answer is that yes, I am, then that's something I need to work on. And if the answer is no, I'm not, then we're probably not being honest with ourselves. Because we all have some degree of a lack of respect, a lack of appreciation for others. There are certain people who we may view as having done things wrong. They may have affronted us. They may have done something to us personally, or maybe it's just their views on life that we disagree with. But if we allow that to change our outlook of those people, then we are guilty of the same exact problems that destroyed the Beis HaMikdash, and that is what's stopping us from rebuilding it. So that's what we're mourning. We're mourning the fact that we are still doing the same things that destroyed the Beis HaMikdash. So we need to focus, says Rav Chaim of Volozhin, on rebuilding the Beis HaMikdash. How do we rebuild it? By fixing those problems. By being able to approach somebody and say, listen, whenever this happened years ago, weeks ago, whatever it was, you said this, you did that, it bothered me, it hurt me. And I want to talk about it. I don't want to have those feelings against you. Let's talk it out. Let's understand each other. Let's come to a place where we can be friends. This can be between family members even. This is certainly true within communities and even outside of and within other communities. It's true all over, and it's something we need to fix. So it's so important for us to take advantage of these 3 weeks especially, and to look at ourselves and look around and say, am I treating everybody else properly? Am I viewing everybody else properly? Am I judging anybody else? We shouldn't be. And we need to try to make amends. So if we've got a problem with somebody, let's approach them. Let's say something to them in a nice way that says, hey, I want to work this out. Can we talk it out? Can we make this happen? Can we go back to being friends the way we were? And that is what we need to do. And that is the fulfillment of the 3 weeks. That's the purpose of all of what we're supposed to be doing. So as long as we are complacent and we're saying, no, I've got my friends and then I've got the people that I'm not really friends with, then perhaps we are being guilty of destroying the Beis HaMikdash. But that's not what we dwell on. We dwell on rebuilding. We are supposed to be fixing these problems. So we need to address them. And this way, when Mashiach comes, the Beis HaMikdash is rebuilt, we will finally understand what we were missing. We'll finally be able to recognize the loss that we've had over the thousands of years without having the Beis HaMikdash. We'll finally appreciate what it means to have the Beis HaMikdash back. And then, if we've taken this message seriously, we can look on as the Beis HaMikdash is rebuilt. Hashem's glory is restored to the world. The Jewish people's glory is back and finally recognized as the only truth that exists. And we can stand with our heads held high saying, I did my part in this. I was part of this rebuilding. I did what I needed to do, and I know that that's part of why this has happened. I understand that I had a piece in building this magnificent building, the culmination of all of creation finally coming together to recognize the beauty of Torah and the truth of Hashem. In this time, let us focus, let us do our best to do our part so that we can stand proud when the Beis HaMikdash is finally rebuilt and be able to say, I did my part in making this happen. Have a wonderful Shabbos.